Good evening. This is Arunava Chaudhuri. You are live on my YouTube channel, Arunfoot. It is Monday, the 10th of November. And yes, it's another day to discuss what this in Indian football, what is next Indian football is what I've titled this as there still is no clarity on how things will continue within the Indian Super League and how the ecosystem in Indian football will continue and survive. Um, at the start, as always, a request. If you're liking the conversation, if you're liking what we're discussing and talking about, do leave a like, leave a share behind for other people potentially to join us. And if you haven't, do subscribe to the channel and help us to grow continuously. We are at 3,387 at the moment as we speak. And as I say always, watch the short videos that I try and make. Did something earlier today in regard to asking, does the ISL have a future? Yesterday, who can save Indian football? ISL no bidders. But also 3 days ago, Ryan Williams, and I'll pick up that topic also once more. Is Indian kids more football passionate than football talented? Paul Rennell, very difficult question, honestly, to answer, because in my opinion, that is always very difficult. To me, to be passionate about something, are they really passionate, or are they just passionate for something which they cannot reach, maybe, right? So there are 2-3 points on that. So therefore, very difficult to answer. So what's the next step? The new bidding process, again, with tweaks in the document and money involved, but I don't think anybody paying money into the league where they aren't given ownership full. Renal, that is the key question. The problem is that Nageshwar Rao, in the meeting with Kalyan Chaubey, is now going back to the Supreme Court and saying, you know what, the bidding process didn't work. We have to rework it. Who's going to tell them what needs to be reworked? My simple question on that is, who's going to tell and explain to Nageshwar Rao, to explain to Kalyan Chaubey, and to explain to the honorable bench of the Supreme Court what needs to be done? Simple problem. At the end of the day, we are where we are at this moment in time, and to me, that is sort of a problem that we need to sort of ourselves figure out. Where do we see the rectification which is needed for the ecosystem to survive, right? That's a big danger, and let's wait and see if the changes are made. Is it really overreacting that fans think players hit 30 and they see him as washed out, but now we see a lot of mid-30 players posting world football and even Indian football, example, PK. Renal, yeah, you have this, I guess, on one side, you have the craze around players, you see on one side, you have the Lamine Yamals, but on the other side you have, I don't know, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the Lionel Messis, the Manuel Neuers, who are playing into their late 30s, early 40s. And the problem is also that the hype that we want, we're desperate for success, and we think that the next generation is going to be more successful than the older one. If that's true or not, that's again a point of discussion. In my opinion, we haven't proven that, because we also have the problem that in an Indian eco football system, or in the Indian football ecosystem, that's the right way to say it. So therefore, we'll have to wait and see. Hi, Vignesh. Hi, Rudro. Hi, Goku. Indian football, it's in the air. Yeah, if you ask me, yes, Vignesh, yes, that's the situation. And we don't know where it's heading. So yeah, let's wait and see. AIFF posted Ryan training with the team and deleted moments later. Why so? Rudra, I don't know. I am not involved in knowledge of how and why and when the AIFF media team posts stuff. Maybe there is something that wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, no idea. If Supreme Court decided Indian football matters, then why does AIFF exist? Just dissolve it. Rudra, the problem is that the AIFF needs to figure out itself how it can become independent of the Supreme Court again. I think the main thing is that the AIFF needs to finalize the process of the constitution, move towards the next phase of election, and then thank Nageshwar Rao and thank the Supreme Court and say, you know what, now we're taking matters into our own hands again. And also very, very clearly, the current constitution that we have, you know, so therefore, that's going to be the tricky part, because that is something I feel somehow, I don't know why the Supreme Court and the lawyers involved in these cases don't want it. They're dragging it on and on and on and on. And Kalyan Chaubey wants to stay as long as he can. And that is max till September next year. And then maybe trying to figure out maybe even that he can stay beyond that, right? Praful Patel ko wapas lao or Indian football ecosystem ko restart karo, says Ashish. Why does Khalid mean that there will be 3-4 players like Ryan in upcoming camps winning by Indian players playing in abroad? Amateur level players in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th division. Ask Khalid, right? We already have this topic of Avneet Bharti. Again, the AIFF and the Indian government cannot change nationality laws except if they can fast track nationalities, which, you know, so therefore we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, I'm not sure how it works, but we'll have to see how it works out. But at the moment, yeah, let's wait and see. Hi, the Waves. Do you think few clubs would pull out if FSL does not bid again? I think few clubs will not pull out. I think few clubs will shut down. Yeah. So to me, I know even from I-League clubs who are at the moment very, very worried about the situation, about the scenario, and even they are considering their own position. And we'll have to wait and see what happens. I am not sure where this journey will take us, to be very, very honest. You know, it is a very tricky scenario, and I think nobody can say which way and how this will progress, because at the moment, as things stand, as complex as everything is, it looks very tricky. To me, it looks very, very tricky, and that's something which we need to keep in mind, which we need to remember. And at the moment, I think nobody knows. I think there's now what I hear, what I see. There is now there's panic in the market. There is panic at all levels, from the clubs, people working in the clubs, the people who are managing the clubs, the players, the coaches, even people in the AIFF, because everyone's asking what's going to continue, what's going to happen from January onwards. Right, so there is panic in the market, and this is something, you know, I tried to put it nicely in my tweet earlier. You know, it's causing a lot of fear and distress, but there is, you know, we're moving now from the distress to the panic mode, and that's very, very dangerous. But that's a real problem, real scenario. Don't the AIFF have the power to amend the constitution? Nixon, not at the moment. As per the Supreme Court, the new constitution. You first have to get a new AIFF in, meaning a new body, you know, and then they can make changes. But again, I know that certain people, if AIFF make changes which people don't like, they will go back to the Supreme Court. So that the Supreme Court is going to be a side player of the AIFF constitution and of the AIFF, I think that stays. That's the problem, right? So we need to, at some stage in India, come to the understanding that matters of sport needs to be resolved within sports. Do you think when ISL clubs were signing the letters to put pressure on AIFF, the club signed too, it would have put more pressure? Why would they not sign even from more time? No, the Waves did that. Do you think that it doesn't matter if it's one or all, right? The AIFF, be it today, be it in the past, whenever clubs stood together and were fighting for things with the AIFF has not really reacted to that. The clubs the clubs don't have a moral standpoint on that as well, because the clubs were sleeping. I have been speaking to a lot of people over the last 2.5 years, right? Again, I don't want to start with the story, oh, you know what, I told you so and it's happening again. But it's the fact. I will not name them, but I could go through a whole list of people who, since The SAF semi-finals, 2023 in Bangalore. I've been having conversations with people, and I've always warned that this scenario could happen, that Reliance will walk off. And everyone said, no, they've invested so much, they've lost so much, they will stay. No, they won't. They've gone, right? So these are realities, and if we like it or not, but that's how it is. And for Indian football to survive, the clubs need to stand up. Now, the point is also, if, for example, we go back to say, listen, Reliance put a proposal forward, 60% of the league is owned by the clubs. Do we know from the clubs that the clubs are willing to own 60% of the league and also put that burden of 60% losses on them? Right? We don't know. The problem is that here, the stakeholders of Indian football look after themselves, do not look at the whole thing. And whoever says what, sorry to say, again, each group is looking out for themselves. If you look at the clubs, they're looking after themselves in the ISL. The I-League clubs are looking after themselves. The academies look after themselves. The coaches look after themselves. The players look after themselves. And then we've got the state associations. And then, of course, on top of that, the AIFF. Khalid Singh will only have 7 players above 25 in camp. We will try young players. All is just BR. Listen, let him try, Rudro. Let him try. Let him wake up to those realities, and then we'll see what happens. But why is it that a few clubs would shut down if AIFF is to somehow conduct the league? Because as Nilanjan pointed out, there should have the money. Where is the question on the question? Where, again, I still don't know where Nilanjan knows that there is money. The AIFF doesn't have money. This is a point which I haven't asked him actually. I would love to understand the point how he says that the AIFF has money. If the AIFF had money, the women preparations would have been different. The AIFF internally saying we don't have money to prepare the women's team properly. I would love to know. There is no money. The AIFF is not in a position to conduct the I-League. The AIFF is conducting the IWL like a tournament rather than a league. Where is the money? This is the other problem. I said that yesterday again, and even to my friends who I know. If you don't understand the business of sports, if you don't have to understand the governance of sports, I think it doesn't matter. Guys, don't join the conversation. You don't understand the things. It is not a football technical matter at the moment. It is not a media matter. It is about the business of sports. It is about governance. And this is our biggest weakness. Everybody's talking. None of these people seem to understand the business of sport. None, and worse even, governance. From a sporting governance side of things, Indian football, Indian sports is pathetic to say the least. None of these people actually qualify from that front if you want to have good governance and good structure. Because the guys who are good enough, who are capable, would never come forward to take up roles in these positions. So basically, Sukhdev has again entered the chat. No, Swastik, they've never left it. That is the problem. No, they've never left it. The Supreme Court, who is at fault of the situation in regard to the tender process? None other than the Supreme Court of India, because they enforce the tender process on the AIFF and on the system. Nobody else is fault. Not even the AIFF. This mess is the fault of the Supreme Court of India. And the gentleman should be aware of that. And I'm 100% certain if someone would go to them now and knock to them and ask them, sir, do you understand what you've created? Do you think that Nageshwar Rao, do you think that the amicus, do you think that the lawyers or the AIFF, anyone has explained to them what the real situation now is? What kind of a mess that these people have created? If Supreme Court is involved in every decision and it's a third party, the league matter is not a third party interference per se, except if the AIFF goes to FIFA and says, you know what, the Supreme Court is meddling in our affairs, which the AIFF won't go because Kalyan Chaubey wants to stay till next year, September. So, this is the problem. Also, optimistically, also, if some officer comes back, how would they even conduct the league? Single leg, centralized venues. What about continental criteria, Jan to June, if we run? Just does not add up. The waves, the likelihood of the 25-26 season happening, the likelihood, and I've said this in the last 2-3 weeks, is at 1%. The likelihood that the 25-26 season will happen is at the moment non-existent. Because if we go for a next round of tender, how long will that take? Because then AIFF, KPMG, and whoever is advising them will have to come back, sit together and talk about, listen, you know what? This document doesn't. So theoretically, and they will not do that. They actually need to redo the whole bid document. Because it doesn't answer the basic questions. If someone is willing to pay, listen, the 37.5 crores is not your biggest problem. I'm sure that someone would have said, "Tika, I'll pay to you." But I have to pay for conducting the league. I have to give the prize money. I have to give the clubs money. I have to, the match officials need to be paid. My broadcaster is not going to give me money. So I am 200 to 300 crores down without thinking per year. And who? Now we've lost the betting companies, right? We don't have a title sponsor. Who's going to give you money? You know? So therefore, it is about saving Indian club football in general, not about the 25-26 season. We're in November. Even if the process works out tomorrow, Supreme Court, okay. By when would the tender process be finished before the end of the year? Right? Thoughts on the U20 Asian Cup draw? A very tough one for us, in my opinion. Also, Monash got an easier group. Disaster. Japan, Australia, and Chinese Taipei is a disaster. But I have a certain level of trust in Joachim. But yeah, let's wait and see what we can do. Edmund has joined the national team camp. Again, Khalid calling players from back to like previous one. Again, and there's no logic to it. No one knows why. There's no conversation happening. Why is this happening? Why is this player here? Why is that player there? These things are just happening, right? And so therefore, very, very tricky scenario. Methamphetamine, finally what everyone feared happened. I'm pretty sure now we won't have any leak this season. Do you think we need a hard reset for a better structure instead of a hapless league structure made just to conduct league this season somehow? Yeah, you are your thought process is similar to mine, I would say. My thought is that this is not about saving the 25-26 season, but this is about saving the Indian club structure. And if you have to sacrifice the 25-26 season and maybe do tournaments or other things just to hold it, then so therefore, it is very, very difficult. And then you add, that being said, if AIFF could come up with a proposal good enough first, expecting a proposal seems a little too optimistic. And we're faltering at that level. Methamphetamine, very, very well understood. We are failing at that because if I expect, you expect, we expect the AIFF to put a very, very good proposal together, which will work, which will take Indian football in the right direction. Then we wouldn't have this, right? This mess of a proposal, as far I would think, is not an issue of KPMG. KPMG has put it together, but the facts and figures have come from the AIFF, right? So the AIFF is living in a la-la land of where they think where they are. And what I've heard is that people are shocked that no one has come forward to bid. They thought it gets as insane as it can get. There are people who thought 2-3 groups would at least bid. Anyone with common sense, looking at the bid document, looking at the criteria and the unclear level of things in the document where, okay, de facto AIFF is giving us to run it, but they control it, but we have to raise the money and we have to run it as well and blah, whatever, we have to do everything. So By the opinion, CR7's controversial interview with that clown Morgan, he can be my goat, but saying that the Saudi League is better than like South Africa. So I think if Cristiano Ronaldo is doing an interview with Piers Morgan, again, if you're watching it, you're wasting your time. It's never nothing smart will come out of those two. Cristiano Ronaldo is a great footballer, but again, have you heard anything smart from him from his interviews? And Piers Morgan is another one. Again, let's not get into that conversation. I understand a bit by following football out from Germany, but lost a bit track from Indian football. That's why I'm keeping myself out of current discussions. Roshan, it is sad. You understand because you've been born and brought up to the system here in Germany. You understand how football works. With your love, your dedication, you have not only followed the men's game but also followed the women's game. Great, but the sad part is that people like you or me who have a certain understanding of the game, and then we see the other people who are around, it's very sad. Condolences to all the families, people lost their loved ones today in Delhi. Om Shanti. Yeah, bomb blast in Delhi. Very sad piece of news. I think what I read a little earlier, I think 8 people confirmed dead. Very sad news out of Delhi. You've always mentioned there are people who can help Indian football. Do you think they have a chance to take key positions in the AIFF like the president? Do you think others in the federation? No. Will consider for them roles? No. Because these people at the moment will not come forward, So that's, sorry, Goku, but that's the reality, And there are good people, there are capable people, even within the current setup, right? But those people will not come forward knowing that what the situation is at the moment, right? I mean, Vijay Bali stood up, resigned from his position or positions within the AIFF. Nobody else stood up for him, right? Vijay had a point. Isn't that a point to say, listen, this is a reason to fire the president or at least fire the secretary who's an employee of the federation? So no one's standing up, right? All are talking, but no one is coming forward. And who is that leader at the end of the day who will get everybody together? And people will also listen to that person. Hard decisions, hard measures are needed. And you need to tell every group in all stakeholders, this is your fault. Ye tum galti kar rahe ho. This is what you're doing wrong. And understand that, right? It's like someone telling me oh, you know what, you can sort it out, the salary cap and all. I said, no, the salary cap will not work in Indian football. You could fix a brilliant salary cap. Let's say you fix 10 crores as your salary cap. People will pay backhanders to the players. Simple. It will not work. This is India. This is not America. This is not a structure of MLS or NBA or NFL where all the financial data of the clubs, even of the sponsors, is known by the league. Right? Hi, Karam. In my opinion, Supreme Court has nothing to do with sports. I bet this Nageshwar Rao guy didn't know of football. And funny thing is, he's the one making decisions. Karam, again, respect. Don't use the F word. But yeah, I totally agree with you. He's taking decisions without knowing anything. None of the commercial partners have even one solid reason to come and bid. Yeah, true. That's the point. Even if someone had a vision and let's say, you know what, I want to take Indian football forward. I want to build. It won't happen. Because even, you know what, the problem is also in an Indian context, what I've learned, there are people who have got a lot of money. They can spend it. But if you don't have the right people to run it, it will not work. That is where we're faltering at the moment massively. We're failing at all levels. What do you, is the solution for this now? It's sounding so sad to hear all this. We surely can't just lose a season of football. Has this ever happened previously anywhere? The Waves, surely. I think in Pakistan, I think they haven't had a proper football season for 10, 12 years. So yes, it has happened in other parts of the world. So therefore to me, it is something. The right leaders. To me, right leaders, right people running the thing. That's the only way forward. if we're going to think about what's happening at this moment in time, if it's not the right people, that's who are the, will the right people stand up? And even if they stand up, will they be allowed to run the thing, right? And yeah, that's the tough one, right? So I don't know. So yeah, it's very difficult of what it is, right? So I don't know. It's very difficult. No one is easy at Asian Cup. If you want to be the best, then you have to play against the best. Yeah, but that is nice. But in the women's game, the standard is so much different. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Our coach seems to be confused. No tactics can be seen in pitch. Khalif members, please accept the fact. They won't, Raj, right? Again, in today's world, what I find very dangerous is that, we are in a situation where, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the right thing, and if it's going to happen or not. But to me, I'm not sure if it can happen or not happen. But to me, it is very, very difficult. Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Hey Blue, welcome back. Zeroda owner tweeted about the ISL situation. Zeroda owner tweeted about the ISL. Okay, I haven't seen anything. Let me see if I find. Okay, supposedly his Twitter was hacked. Okay, let me find out what did he do. Okay. But what I see, there is nothing. No, there is nothing. Where did? Okay. I don't see anything, Blue. If you put the link out, I would love to read it, then I can react to it. I don't see anything. Should Apuya and Abhishek also be called up for the camp? According to you, also we had done the same mistake in the Singapore games, as we're just saying. Apuya, Anirudh Thapa, some people will say not, but again, Abhishek has. How much has Abhishek played? How much did Abhishek, Paramveer, all these guys play in the Super Cup? Right, your young players need to play. Right, are they playing? No, they're not. So it's in my opinion very difficult to figure these things out, and yeah, let's see. I'm happy finally people are realizing what Mr. Bajaj has done to us. His statement during bidders that surface in reels is coming up instead of Indian football fans. Yeah, too late, huh? We need temporary and permanent solution for now. Is AIFF alone thinking to conduct this season with broadcast rights at basic price and planning for next 15 years? Anything happening on background? Narendra, what basic price? Again, what is the value of basic price? The basic price is a big zero, right? The problem is that last season, Sony took money from the AIFF and the clubs to broadcast the I-League. So there is no money in this market. So that's the reality, no? If Kalyan Chaubey has any kind of shame left, resign with your holding. But Raj, how many times has he now said it in the last year or plus 1.5 years? How many times have we said it? Didn't we say it when we got eliminated from the third round of the in the third round of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers? Didn't we say it when we got eliminated from the Asian Cup? Didn't we say it when the Supreme Court stuff? Didn't we say it now? How many times he should have resigned by now? There is no level of accountability in the AIFF, right? So that's the reality. The shock of no bid felt by AIFF was no shocker, as they thought they were sitting on a 500 crore golden goose of their so-called league that was completely disintegrating for us fans. Well, Zian, I don't know if they were. I don't think they were thinking about 500 crores. I think that dream, that ship has sailed long ago. I think that realism has come in, that they realize that that we are very, very far away from the 500 crores. The problem that I see with all of this is that they thought someone will bid, and even if they don't get the 37.5, maybe someone would say, okay, listen, I'll give you a little less, I'll give you 30, but maybe you want to agree to this. And maybe they could have worked something out. Maybe that was, I don't know if that was the approach, but maybe that is that. I don't think that they thought nobody would come forward and bid. I think that I know from some people that there was a thought, at least 2-3 people, amongst them FSDL would bid, right? Where it was very, very clear that FSDL has been doing an exit strategy over the last 6-7 months, right? So yeah, when the moment FSDL said, you know what, we're giving all your rights back, we'll pay you until the end of the contract, that should have been the alarm bells. And this is what I've always said to people. And I know from clubs who said, you know what, no, all's fine, all's good. They'll play, we'll sort it out, no problem. They will not go. The biggest false friend of a lot of people who thought that that Reliance will never go. Because it's a matter of reputation and they've lost too much money. Now we know 3,000 crores more loss, and this is not a reputational thing, right? They can still do Reliance Foundation and do grassroots and youth CSR, whatever. What is this Zerodha rumor? So I think Zerodha has been, been linked to the picking up the right Nitin and Nikhil Kamath, and they have had the financial strength, let's put it this way, to bring in the money, and but yeah, they didn't do it. So as far as there are a lot of groups who were talking to the AIFF about those rights. They were talking about it. They were trying to work out something. But at the end of the day, what happened was that all of them, when they dug a little deeper into that document, they themselves that's the point. The problem is certain culprits change narratives X, Y, Z times before showing lesson learned. Yeah, Roshan, but there are no lessons learned. No? These people are continuing to commit mistakes, so that's the problem, and nothing's happened, right? So that's the sad part, that a lot of things could have happened, but where are we? Any better right people can we see after Kalyan to move forward? Do you have any better names? I know many associations are corrupted. Narinda, I know a lot of people who could come in, right? I know a few people who I would think, I tell you a funny story that I've got 2-3 people who even reached out to me and said, Arunava, do you want to actively be involved? I said, listen, in the background, if the right people come in, if they need inputs, expertise, I would always help. But I will not stand in the front row. I'm the wrong person to stand in the front row because I am too honest, straightforward, and direct. I'll call out what is wrong. And at the moment, diplomatic people maybe should be put in the front. And I'm not interested. I've got other stuff to look at in my life, so I'm sorted. But if they need help, if the right people come forward, I'll help. Even at this moment in time, if Kalyan Chaudhuri tomorrow would give me a call and say, "Now, hey, listen, I need your help. Can you help us in any way?" I would. Why not? Right? It's not about him or other people. It's about Indian football. Right? It's not about egos. That's another problem. These people have huge egos, which, again, when you are doing something for sports, ego is the worst friend you can have. Don't you think that having Super Cup has done more damage than good? Clubs had to shell out money for a few matches. Does the AFC grant waiver under special circumstances? Better if you mean the AIFF was, again, let's put it this way. If we look at the original schedule of what the AIFF had planned, the idea was 15th of October, the tender process would end, right? Super Cup starts on the 25th. So by then, okay, and December start the ISL. Again, this is the scheduling of the AIFF. So, and everybody believed. Now, because we had this false friend, and I go back, Reliance will stay and will potentially outbid whoever comes in. That is one thing that I've heard from a lot of clubs, right? But in the end, the Super Cup now was held in a poor manner, one has to say, because the Fatorda Stadium ground was already in a bad shape, as we could see from the ACL 2 matches of FC Goa. The AIFF had not intimidated the broadcaster that there are two venues. I mean, the joke can't be bigger than that, really. To say, oh, you know what? Actually, we're actually playing at two grounds, and everything around it. Now you have to postpone it because, just thinking that, okay, listen, actually we're playing Bangladesh on the 18th, 20th we can play semis, and 22nd we can play semi-final, because then I give the teams time until the next round of matches in the when the ISL starts. So whoever has planned all of this doesn't know anything. Sorry, right? And yeah, I've said multiple times, the lawyers, amicus, fighting, discussing, who really know what's football. I'm sure they don't know any Indian player except Sunil. It's Arunava Supreme Court. It doesn't matter who they know, right? But if they know football, that's the thing. If AIFF accepted MRA's proposal by FSDL previously, I-League clubs suffered with some shutting operations due to non-promotion relegation for 10 years. I think these I-League clubs only consider playing I-League because promotion to ISL is allowed. For example, Dempo decided to focus on the youth setup before, but after promotion was allowed, they consider participation in I-League. Yeah, but what has it brought, Goku? Again, if you look at it, Punjab FC can compete in the ISL, no problem. Mohammedan Sporting, desperate to be in the I-League a few years back. You have to think, pre-COVID, Mohammedan Sporting has spent more time outside of the I-League than in the I-League, right? Just to put out the facts. Then, of course, bubble, this, that, everything, get promoted, and then suddenly, they have their years of challenge with Gokulam Kerala, then Punjab FC, and then they win it. They come into the ISL, and they don't have enough money. And then the person who they take money from, or supposed to give them money, turns away, sets up an OTT platform, works with the AIFF on the I-League, right? Now we have the situation. Look at Inter-Kashi and Churchill Brothers. Do you think financially, commercially, Churchill Brothers can play ISL? And this is a question which actually nobody has been asking. And this is a question which I ask, right? Inter-Kashi can. They have the right backers. But can Churchill? Can an Aizawl? Can a Real Kashmir? Can a Shillong Lajong? Because there are financial criteria of getting, promotion. So, and Dempo's route, again, Dempo, there's a lot of backstory which you will not know, and linked to FC Goa, this and that and everything. So it is not as clean and clear as Goku as you're selling the story. It's not. There's a lot of stuff in the background. When there was ISL, East Bengal couldn't form a good team, but now that they have the best team, the ISL is top. What a joke. Abhishek, yeah. And that's the reality. East Bengal continued their work over the summer while the others stopped working, right? The others have sort of created teams to just keep playing. They have not created teams to be competitive. Do you think City Football Group was the best thing that could have happened to Mumbai City FC? Yes. I listen, when I came in 2014, I went to Manchester. I traveled to Manchester and tried to convince City Football Group to come forward. At the time, they didn't like the idea. They don't know. But 5 years later, they came forward and signed the deal. So indirectly, I can say I was on the right track on that idea, right? So yes, for Mumbai City, for Indian football, it was something good. But as long as Indian football doesn't grow to the next level, I understand City Football Group saying, you know what, we will not invest extra XYZ. That is the problem where we're stuck now with City Football Group, right? They could invest more, but they won't, because the ecosystem isn't growing. And that is our Indian football problem. Oh, wouldn't it be just amazing if I was in charge of ISL? I can already imagine the sheer brilliance. Teams would be managed by bureaucrats, matches would be scheduled. Hopala. Scheduled based on astrology, favorable timings, and the football would be played by politicians underscore goals with the Eagles. It'll be a disaster travesty. The tsunami would be a gentle ripple compared. Whoops. The chaos would bring to Indian football. Yeah, Goku. Sounds hard, but yeah. I see Kolkata fanboys saying Indian football run even if they're no FS there. Fools don't know the entire ecosystem is going and suffer if they pulls out completely. Renal, they think that East Bengal and Mohun Bagan are as entities uh, um, they've survived over 100 years and they will continue that and all that, which is, yeah, they will. But do you want them to play Kolkata League? Do you want to play them IFA Shield? Right? That's a simple question, right? To me, we've got nothing more, nothing less, right? That's what they can. That's the level that they can play. If at national level nothing survives, and that is the concern, my friends. That's the concern I have looking at things at this moment in time. We are in a situation where we desperately need this ecosystem that has been created over the last 11 years to survive. If it falls apart, we go back more than 3 decades. The only ones who got justice from this mess is Evis Dale, got abused for helping investing in a loss-making entry. Yeah, but that's what I've been saying, right? And only, sorry, idiots, and you can't call them anything else. Only idiots would criticize them. Have they done everything right? No. Right? But, they at least put the money in, which nobody else at that level could do. Right? Let's be honest about that. All the other people who want to say, Reliance is of a different magnitude on that front. If you're part of the meeting, the certain tweaks you would do to make the bid more interesting for bidders, stuff from your perspective. Renal, the bid doesn't work. So you can't tweak it. There is no tweak. You have to redo the whole bid. Right? And you have to go back to the Supreme Court and say, guys, for example, this cannot work as long as you say that the AIFF has full control of the league. So therefore, this whole thing doesn't work. I need to work out ownership. I need to work at the commercial model. I need to organize who's organizing it, who is my broadcaster, and I need to be very, very clear about that structure. And the clarity is not there at this moment. Full control was taken by AIFF because Everton and Fed several times AIFF didn't want to take risk. No. Who says that? Raj, again, this is an interesting one. This is total rubbish because FSDL was running the ISL independently of the AIFF only in matters of rules and regulations in regard to refereeing. It was theirs. But the point was very simple. Most of the leagues around the world, are run by private entities. The Premier League is not run by the English FA. The Bundesliga is not run by the German FA. La Liga is not run by the Spanish FA. MLS is across countries is run by a separate body with a league in Canada and the US. USL as a second tier league in America has had teams from the Caribbean. I remember there used to be a team from Antigua, a team from Puerto Rico in the league. Right? So those are realities. But if you don't know football, you will not understand that. Or forget football, don't understand sports. Let's start with sports. Because cricket is not in that way sports. The IPL is a bubble of its own, right? Which has created its own ecosystem. So therefore, we need to look at sports and how professional sports is run and managed around the world, right? I find it funny, for example, right? We had yesterday an official American football NFL game in Berlin at the Olympic Stadium. Sold out. Huge PR and all that stuff, right? While in Germany, fans say, we want football to be as traditional as possible. But somehow or the other, they also now like American football. So, coexistence. That's going to be the question. Raul Mayer blabbering that AIFF, ABC, etc., that doesn't understand cricket and football is both. It really doesn't matter. AIFF and BCCI, AIFF or any other federation would not be put into the same bracket because of the magnitude of sports and the strength also of AFC and FIFA, right? I think Raul Mehra is someone that someone needs to put forward and send messages to FIFA and say, hey, listen, I think there's an ethics conversation happening about him. Will ISL delete the YouTube channel now? We will wait and see what happens on the 9th of December. I don't know why BCCI is coming in picture, why Mr. Neetu giving us. Raj, he's one. He's not the only one. There were other people as well, and the media picked it up because that was the tagline of saying, hey, BCCI, can you help Indian football? Because the others didn't want to talk about it, right? So I don't know. It makes no sense, but it is the way it is. AIFF is building castles in the air and most bought it somehow. It has been, you know what I said multiple times over the years, and I did early on when I started this YouTube channel. I did a series under the title "The Future of Indian Football," right? And I remember I said at the time when you got to governance, administration, if your foundation is not strong, the whole thing will collapse. So if you're trying to build a high rise, right? You're trying to build, let's say, a 160 plus story building like the Burj Khalifa, and your foundation is strong, you will not even be able to get to the 10th floor because the whole bloody thing will collapse every time you start building it. We are at that phase once again, right? We had built by Praful, by Kushal, by Shunando, and everyone involved a base foundation. It wasn't perfect, but you could have strengthened it here and there and then built on top of it. What did the others do? They removed a lot of things, wanted to build, as you say, castle in the sky. The whole thing has been crashing down. I don't know how many times. What would be your motivation words to kids who thought they would make it but had different things happen to their life that they couldn't reach where they could? Should they try again? And yes, Renal, the point is, the first thing which needs to be clear to you as a young athlete in any sport, you can fail, right? Injuries will be part and parcel of your sporting career. So therefore, yeah. So therefore, it's not just sports. Life has a lot of failures for you, and you have to try and work around it. How about this question here about players' salaries, contracts, physios? Who will pay them now? Raj, no one pays no one, right? If the club shut down, no one is going to get paid. This is not a matter of, yes, there are players who are earning a lot of money. No doubt about it. But a large pool of people within the Indian football ecosystem are earning normal salaries. Maybe some are earning more, some are earning less. But a whole ecosystem is set to be put on standby. That is the card of the conversation. True, I agree. AIFF tried to protect its fragile ego. We know everything, didn't accept valuable suggestions, now left red-faced. Even now they start taking right advice, a lot could be done. Yeah, but they won't, no? Even Shranchi didn't pay them, yes. How do you compare Renedy with Naure Mai Singh? Devanshu, with all due respect to Mahesh and Renedy should not be mentioned in the same sentence. Renedy was of a different level, right? And I'm not saying this, him being one of my best friends. Renedy is, yeah. Yeah. This comparison doesn't stand. If Renedy wanted to and trained a little bit, he could play ISL now. He's that fit in his mid-40s. So, yeah, what are we talking about? Make me AIFF president, I know nothing, but hey, I can be better than Kalyan Chaubey. Nixon, try, go for it. It is whose fault that the market of Indian players inflated? The clubs. Across the board. But if this did not start yesterday, yes, the ISL took it to the next level, but I always say, I had this conversation in 96, 97 with certain people, that when the I-League 95, the first salaries in lakhs were being paid by JCT. They created a super team with Baichung Bhutia, I.M. Vijayan, Joe Polancheri, Stephen Abarovai and others. Yeah. That's when it started. And when the I-League came, it gave it another push. When the ISL came, it gave it another push. And the last 5 years given another push. So the clubs have been at fault. If you were a player and someone said, oh, I'll give you 1 rupee. Okay, take it. Someone comes out and I'll give you 10. You'll go. Even in your private land. So that's the reality. We need a Mera versus Bajaj for the biggest for the world award. Yeah, Shastik. East Bengal Mola fans are happy with the CFL, don't give a damn about ISL. Yeah, that's also reality, right? No. See, rumors of exploring, Utsav, again, I go back. There were 4 or 5 entities who looked at the numbers. What does exploring mean? I could have said, I'm exploring to buy the rights. Yeah. So, what does it mean? They will look at the numbers. These guys are numbers guys. They come from the commercial world. And if the second they see and realize the numbers, they're off. They're not there. So therefore, no. So exploring doesn't mean that they were about to bid. Exploring means they looked at it and then said, no, thank you very much. And that's, again, 4 or 5 groups, most probably, even more, most probably looked at it and then said to them, no, thank you. So if on full control said no one can question about decision leak. No, they don't, Raj. It's been put on them by the Supreme Court. I think the AIFF would be fine for someone else to take it up. I don't think that the AIFF is in a position to say, oh, you know what, I want to keep it. No, I don't think so. But this has been done by the Supreme Court on pressure from certain people who is taking these matters into the Supreme Court. Now, do a player here need an agent in India? Can the player's family act as agents, or we need agents for better paycheck? What's happening at the extent? Listen, this agent nexus thing is something which is said around the world. You have certain clubs who work with, because you like to work with someone, or you send out an agent, say, get me this player, get me that player. Yes, are there some shady deals in the background? 100%, anywhere in the world. And if you're a player and you want to get through, yes, you need agents, right? And family, how can family act as an agent in an Indian context? How much does a family member know? Does he have the network? Zerodha's story is true, as I've seen tweet. Yeah, but Raj, it's not. In the sense of interest. Were they going to bid? No. That's my whole point. Listen, they looked at it. Shrachi looked at it. 2 or 3 other groups looked at it. Yeah. So that's it. In your opinion, a league, Canadian league, MLS, is having promotional regulations, the right choice? It works for them. Commercially, it works for them. So you have to be realistic, And the MLS, in the American context, it works. The Canadian Premier League has done well itself. I don't know if you've seen those footages of last night's final in the snow in Ottawa in a blizzard. Brilliant pictures. So I think, yes, you've got Australia, you've got Mexico, which has shut down its promotion relegation part. So yeah, exactly. Sports is marketing. If marketed properly, could do good. Super League Kerala, where it seems to be doing good. League operations should be handed to qualified people. Metformin again, and this is something which you see at the front end. Are these 2 leagues commercially working? Simple question. You are seeing if marketed properly, it looks good to you. And the Super League Kerala, of course, surely is profiting from the fact that the ISL is not happening. But is the Super League Kerala really working? Financially, commercially. And there's a big no. Now that changes the background, Vijay Chetri joined Mumbai City FC because he was missing his family. Okay, Raj. How do we make the system more transparent and weed out the corrupt people? Who stays? Who then stays? Again, there's a lot of people who you would think, oh, they're good, they're nice, they have this and that, everything. So to make it transparent sounds easy, but in a context, it's very, very difficult. Indian football day by day be like, way down we go. Yeah, at the moment looks like. So, but when a big clubs in Kolkata keep giving crores of rupees on transfer negotiation, wouldn't national team clubs go among and be tempted to match the bid to sign a player? Yeah, why not? Yeah, but that's the problem. I think Ravi said it to some extent in an interview which I did a few months ago, and he said it on other platforms as well. We could focus on the youth, but then we would not be competitive in the league. So everywhere there is 1 or 2 entities who are pushing these salaries up, and the others come. It's like when Neymar, the contract, PSG offered him the money, and Barcelona had that transfer fee, and they said nobody will match that transfer fee. And then PSG actually said, we are playing those 220 plus million euros. it ended up the way it did, right? So yeah, corruption is everywhere. Do you think FIFA is not? Listen, that is Raj. The question is not if there's corruption or not. The question is if a federation is working or not. Every part of life we've got corruption, right? But the point is, can you run it? And I always take the example of a cake. You have a small piece of cake, and you take 90%, 95% of that cake away in your sort of corrupt greed. You've got 5% to work with. If the cake was bigger and you were even taking, let's say, 30% out of it, you had much more to work with. So, yeah, FSDL has taken an exit. Augusta, at the moment, yes. At the moment, FSDL, Reliance are out, yes. At least make 5-year closed league, then we can think about promotion part. Raj, that's what I think. I truly believe that we need to consider of going back and thinking about having a closed league for a certain period of time to stabilize this, because commercially, if you have got money and you say, listen, I'll build a team. For example, let's say BC Jindal, right? Sporting Club Delhi doesn't look to be competitive at the moment. Now, if you get them relegated, do the Jindal stay? Do they shut down? Right? So that's the point. I think after SLK we'll go back to like KPL. Like I don't see them pumping money after 5 years. Renal, I don't even see. There was this conversation earlier this year that the Super League Kerala might not happen this year, right? And nobody knows how the funding has come in, this and that. Let's not even get into that conversation. That the product looks good and this and that, everything is fine. But is it helping Kerala football at the moment? Is it helping, in any general way? That, again, it is not. So therefore, that's the problem. Some say 37 crores is not an issue for them. Then where does 203 crores come in? Utsav, the 37.5 crores is not the biggest problem. That is part of the whole thing that you have to pay for. I've said this again and again. It is part of the whole thing. You're paying a fixed fee to the AIFF. You have to organize the league, which is a cost. You have prize money, which is a cost. Your match officials is a cost with travel, stay, and fees. Broadcasting, nobody will give you money. So you might even have to pay a broadcaster. Who's going to give you those 200, 300 crores? And you're down. Where is that sponsor? Hero gave you 50 crores at the start of the ISL. Right? With which Reliance covered certain parts and the other part was part of the 50 crores they're paying the AIFF. But otherwise, there's no one there. AIFF, the most corrupt bunch of people I've seen in my lifetime. Now said Utkarsh. Raj says it's better for him. In India, players like that don't deserve foreign opportunities. He had a chance, let it go. So better for us to focus on others. See, it is, Goku, it's not that easy to say, he tried, but at some stage, you have to realize, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? And what is the best step for me? And for him, at this stage, looks like the best move forward was to say, I'm not going to be making it there. Yeah. It could be so, but there are also state leagues, and of course, they are boosted by current situation. Now, but the fact that leagues itself could be set up shows potential vessel ready if a setup is good. No, where is the setup good? That is my whole point. There are a lot of people who are investing into Kerala and will invest into Bengal. And then after one season, they realize, oh my God, I've invested into something. I have to put in more money. I thought I will be getting my investment back. Happened with Kalyani Bharat in the I-League. When they came in, they were of the impression they'll put in money, that is seed investment, and then the thing will do. And yeah. Or Mumba never started. They wanted to come to the I-League. Then they realized how much money they're going to lose. They didn't in the I-League. We're not even talking ISL. Right? They pulled the plug on the football team. And we've had Dutsal, other teams have done that as well. Thus, the closed door league will be considered as first year. Yes, cool. Australia A-League is considered as a top division. Yeah. Mumbai City and FC Goa earn something selling to legacy clubs who are ready to take them in inflated salaries. Yeah, but again, Raj, they are earning salary, they're earning transfer fees. How much is that transfer fee? I mean, I know how much Mahesh cost or an Apuya cost, but look at the overall cost at Mumbai City. What does it cover anything? No, it doesn't. Mumbai City reinvested into bringing in young players last year and this year. But when there is no relegation, why didn't club build a system where 2, 3 players break into first team every year? I think the failure of ISL also falls on club man. The point is not that. You know what the reality is? If you or I or we like it or not, clubs are playing to win a competition, right? And if you want to win a competition, are you going to work towards creating talent yourself, or rather do you buy a finished product? So that's the reality. Is it not just top 6 finishes gives them big boost in revenue? No. 8 crores is what the champions get in the ISL. Is that a lot of money? I don't think so. I feel people use the word corruption just to make them feel better. Corruption is everywhere in the world, in Africa, Europe, everywhere. What there is a system which runs. Yeah, could be said. Do you think KFA put more effort in making KPL better than starting SLK? This I won't survive long. Renal, I did commentary on the Kerala Premier League 3 years ago, and I think for about 20 matches, and the organization was not good enough in my opinion, because you were playing in the afternoon, empty grounds, you were playing on those college grounds, and all. It didn't make sense, right? In that way, the IFA actually is doing a better job with the Calcutta Football League, to be very honest. But is it perfect? No. So why did MG Group pulled out? They didn't pull out. They sold their India business to Reliance. They left because they were doing some stuff in cricket. They were doing the Lakme Fashion Week in Mumbai, tennis, ATP tournament in Chennai, and other things. But they were losing money. They were not making money in India. These setups are not best, but I'm saying investors could be brought in. No matter. I mean, who again? Are you seeing big investors coming into the league in Kerala? Are you seeing them coming into Bengal? Just asking. I need people to invest a certain amount. And you will hear from after the first season is over. Oh, you know what? I've lost that much of money. Can I de-invest, or can I bring in someone else who puts in the money? We are back to the Mohammed Sporting situation. Your way, how can Super League Kerala lose expenses? They're putting a lot of effort in marketing, but the quality is like slashing the marketing, just focusing on basing in front fan engagement. Renal, the fan engagement part is good, but fan engagement is marketing. Your problem with infra is in Kerala a state matter, and that's not working. So from that perspective, I think the KFA and the Super League Kerala needs to find means and ways, and I think that at some stage the Super League Kerala needs to find options of maybe playing certain marquee matches in the Middle East. I think that could be a money earner to try and play in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, in Doha, or in Riyadh, right? But yeah, I don't know. Are clubs really victims or made victims? Raj, I think a little bit of both, right? They have to some extent created the situation, but the current situation is actually not only their fault. What was the AIFF source of income before I said? The money from IMG Reliance at that time, the 50 crores since 2010. And before that, it was money that was coming in from Z, or Z stopped actually paying that money. So that was how they've been running. Keep salary cap for players from India, for foreigners, no salary cap, limit foreign player count. But Nixon, foreign player count is limited, no? It's just 6. You're not signing 15 foreigners. You're signing 6 foreigners overall, right? So therefore, and salary cap, I said it earlier on in the show, salary cap to me doesn't work. If in an Indian jugaad business, you will somehow pay the player through the back through someone, right? That's the reality. The greatest talent you have ever seen in your football journey, is it Messi, Pele, CR7, Maradona, Zizou, R7, Ronaldo, and a German one? Which player you thought he's God gifted? Gerd Müller. A lot of people will not talk about him. Kleine dicke Gerd. and he is. Yeah, he is. I've seen him. I've actually even trained with him, and yeah, he was God gifted. Even more than a Beckenbauer. So if you ask me, and again, I've had the pleasure of interacting with Pelé once. Zidane I've interacted. R9, Ronaldinho as well. But with Gerd Müller, I've spent time at Bayern Munich, so therefore I would always say Gerd Müller would be my biggest pick. Is Mohun Bagan players join the camp now? Devanshu Khalid has said he doesn't want them now. So I don't know if he sticks to that or he changes opinion like he did last time around. So let's wait and see what he does. Not big investors, but if a sustainable model is made, there is a possibility to get mid-profile ones. If they are losing money, that's where it needs to be figured out to protect this. Listen, they're losing money. The words you use, sustainable model, Indian sports suffers. That is your biggest problem. So therefore, for me, that's the problem, right? There is no sustainable model. I know people are telling you or selling it, but there is no. That's the problem. It is. They will market it as successful. This, that. Even listen, a sold out ground is not your success level of a league in an Indian context, because the other parts you're not earning money, no. So how much did clubs spend to play Super Cup? How much would they have said they had not played Super Cup? Saved. It depends on the clubs. I would think some of the clubs spend about what, 30, 40 lakhs, and some over a crore, most probably. Yeah. Like, is it very difficult for a Message Junior AC Milan journey to happen again? Climbed the ladder from Series C, DCA within 2-3 years is the most exciting story we have heard. It's a very difficult ladder at 25, he littering on to play for. Listen, these kind of stories are rare. It happens. But that's not the path. And today's path is more difficult than it would have been 15, 20, 30 years ago. GDP, football development, people equal to success, people who. But how do you see the narrative, especially finance condition of country? People forget about China and Qatar. GDP matters nothing, Murali. We've spoken about this on this channel. What is the GDP of some of these African countries? What is the GDP of Cape Verde, who've just qualified for the World Cup? It's non-existent. So it doesn't work. Would clubs not trigger force majeure? Yeah, I think Utsav they could. Yeah, latest in January will happen. Man City performance against Liverpool. Raj, I've not seen the match, so I've seen the result. I've seen the goals. Looks convincing. So why did Atletico left 80k? Raj, because they were asked to invest money post season 3, and Atletico said we don't see, yeah. So therefore, that's how it has happened. The large terrorist attack happened in Delhi. Rest in peace, thousands. Now, yes, I've heard about the explosion in Delhi. Do you think we cannot just blame players that didn't get the right resource at the right time, especially for whatever in process like in Europe and Japan? Listen, Murali, we've asked this question in different ways many, many times. I repeat myself, everybody is to blame in the system, and even the players themselves. I've spoken to Indian players, Indian international players. Some of them have told me, actually, it sounded like they need to play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. This Delulu state is not a problem of the AIFF. It is the whole system is Delulu, right? Some of them feel brainwashed or whatever. I don't know. That is the problem in the system. True profit is not possible in football at the moment, but the problem is if you can't even sell a vision to provide sustainability, let alone being able to break even, is a decade forget bits. And yeah, that's the problem at the moment. Forget, again, profitability. If I'm saying I'm putting in seed investment of a figure X, and you can run with that, then it's fine. But you're asking me to pump in money every year. Reliance has lost over 3,000 crores in those 15 years. Some of the ISL guys who've been in there have lost more than 400 crores. lost, which means money pumped in every year, every year, and you're not getting it back. Yeah, now academic system is so strong. This type of stories are very, yeah, that's the thing. Now is a very good time for these young U20 to give trials to third, fourth division European clubs. Utsav, who's going to give them the trials? Again, nobody. I've heard this now from, oh, they should go to. Nobody will give them a trial. Whenever I've been able to organize trials for players, I had to literally beg the clubs to give them trials. Because the scouting department would say, Indian players, they laughed. Nobody will. And third, fourth division, what do you think that? Yeah, would someone last season, for example, would have had a trial at Wrexham? Do you think last season someone would have gotten ended to Wrexham? I tell you, and I said this to someone sitting in Remshire a few weeks ago, if Indian players come here and we play 6th division, they will not be able to get into the league. Reality. How can state leagues grow without losing too much money? Looking at how you're spending your money. And your biggest problem is the salaries of the players. Even in the Super League Kerala, like the salaries are too high. Dada, what will the footballers do, especially U23 guys, and Dada, what would your opinion to them be? Angry, I don't know, Angry Birds. To be very honest, what they will do, I don't know. Some of them will go home, sit around. Some of them will play, I don't know, in Bengal, some of them might play Cape football. Some of them might play, I don't know, Mizoram Premier League or whatever, something of the sorts. You've seen a lot of, that's why Super League Kerala has gained. Why would normally a Roy Krishna be playing Super League Kerala, for example, or a Prashant, or some of these others who played ISL level football? No. So they'll find something or the other, hopefully. Do you think we are talking about same things, doing same mistakes, and the system is falling, and that's why there's no sign of change? Yes. Luke, you summed it up. Your question sums it up, and I would say again, yes, 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 yes. Because we are unwilling to realize, recognize, and act on the problems and issues of Indian football. Very simple, right? To me, that's the reality of things. I said this 2.5 years ago, some of the stuff. And I've never changed my opinion on those things, right? And if I always say I would rather be happy if I'm wrong than I'm right. I said that today in the morning in a conference call with someone about something here in Germany. And I said to them, I said, listen, with Indian football, and there was an Indian origin friend of mine in the call. And I said, that I would have loved to have been wrong in the last 15, 20 years with a lot of things on Indian football. More often than not, I was right. Yeah. So, how do you see China football development over the years? Monali, at the moment, is stagnating. Right? It's a problem for them. They've pumped in a lot of money, but they're not growing. How do you see? As I said, Super League Kerala, I have my doubts. Is European clubs mini scouting young talents in FIFA U17 or U20 leagues? Separate got scouted over one while playing for U20 World Cup. Then there are different models there. They've got data now, access to data from around the world theoretically. So they're doing a lot of online scouting, which means that they're data scouting. And then yes, if someone Saprit played so well that Bayern picked him up at the time for playing for New Zealand, but under 17 U20, yeah, who are you looking at? You're looking at South American talent, maybe North American talent, African talent, rarely Asian. Let's be honest about that. But they're scouting from in Germany. They're scouting theoretically from the under 9s onwards. A player development is done ISL, not in grassroots. U7, U20, our players mature late. Yeah. And no, because some players mature a little earlier, but overall the maturity comes in our system very, very late. Uzbekistan done some magic in the football progression. Yeah, but there are different pathways. So Uzbekistan has been the underperformer of Asian football over the last 2-3 decades, right? And Indonesia, yeah, overseas Indonesians have made the difference. And Indonesia will grow exponentially in the coming years. Did any of the national team ever ask to help for Connect in any European agent or scout? Are they even willing to take this? Utsav, yes. And again, I've done that. No? We've done Lalinzwala, Changte, tried stuff, with other players as well. Very difficult these days. And the players, it's not easy for them. Is your football friend surprised with support in full come from Football Powers Nation? No. Well, I've always said, right? And again, maybe people don't understand it. I have, and I always will say, I'm on one side, I'm Indian, on the other side, I'm German. I'm both. Right? So, therefore, no, my friends know my love and my passion for Indian football, the way that I've tried to help and do things. And yeah, it is not easy, but let's hoping for the best. But again, hoping for the best maybe is wishing maybe too much, but that's difficult. That's difficult in the Indian football context. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens down the road. Right, 1 hour, 16 plus minutes. Quick reminder, if you haven't, you're listening, you're liking the conversation, do leave a like behind, share it with other people as well. And also, if you're new, listening, liking the conversation, please do leave a share behind, help us grow. We're at 3,388. So grown quite a bit over the last 1.5 months. My aim, try to reach at least the 4,000 mark by the end of the year. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for your support as always. Our players failed abroad. It's a fact. Sunil Baichung was a good. Yeah, Raj, 100%. Baichung has failed. Sunil has failed. Gurpreet could have maybe made it, but he left and came back to India. And the rest, let's not talk about them. In SAF, do you think Sri Lanka and Bangladesh can be better in future, or are they better than India currently? I think Bangladesh is better than India at the moment, surely. Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka has the potential, but we've not played Sri Lanka in a long time. I would love to have played Sri Lanka in a friendly in the November window. And, so, but I think, that's the thing. So have you faced criticism for supporting Indian football? Not in this part of the world. Rather, in India, people have questioned, why do I support India? Right? So, yeah. How do you see Ryan Williams' ability? Really good player. Australian, English educated. Quality player. Has shown his class in the last 1.5 years in the ISL. These are the kind of players we need. What makes interesting interactive fans live? Yeah. Normally it's interacting, discussing. Sometimes nowadays I do get a little angry because, I think there's certain things which are, in my opinion, very logical, but it seems to me that a lot of people don't seem to live in that logical sphere of understanding things. There's a lot of myths and wrong information passed on around Indian football. I think that's a big problem. But I like interacting with this and enjoy it. The Bangladeshi are hyping more than Indians. Yeah, Raj, but they have something to hype. Huh? They have something to hype. And therefore, that's good. Let them, right? Don't even think about current ISL players moving abroad, like even considering who would sign them. Goku, forget them. Forget the younger ones. I've seen last time 2 years ago under Bibiano, the under 17s in Stuttgart. And there is nobody else outside of me who's seen that many under 17 teams in Europe over the last 2.5 decades. This is the worst. So, yeah. Have you seen Ronaldo interview? No, it's not the kind of interview that I want to watch. No. If they include Murali, Abneet, I'm very interested to see. Let's see if Abneet joins. I've not heard anything, so let's see. Sir, do Indian club take nutrition seriously? Do they have nutrition sports centers in ISL? 1 to 4th, 5th division German team. Utsav, yeah, we have. Some of them have, some of them don't. So nutrition and sports science is good, and it depends on how big, how small the clubs are. I even know that, for example, there's a 7th division club I know here in Germany, whose sports science is better than that of any ISL team. So yeah, it's different. Some are linking Ranvin's brother as well. Raj, they're too old, and I think haven't they retired. Hamza Chaudhuri class of big player committee. Hamza Chaudhuri is an established player in the English, sort of between Premier League and Championship. Ryan Williams isn't. Let's be honest about that. He's more of a Championship League One player. So therefore, to me, Hamza is a bigger player than Ryan Williams. Out of topic, how would you see your dual gender as a person, especially as kind of native Azimic debates are so mainstream? Blue, it's a problem. Because some people will tell me here, I'm not part of the system here. And I've heard now for my whole life in India that I'm not Indian. I've had more racism in India than I've had here. People will not like it, but that's a fact. Right? Because, yeah. And the racism towards Indians is sometimes a local problem. But I also see how Indians behave these days, or rather not behave themselves these days. They're embarrassment, a lot of them. So, yeah, I will be Indian, I will be German I have been, and I will be for the rest of my life, and I'll keep it that way. We'll also play a fixed India football temporary solution. Morally, there's only one player coming in at the moment. So if you get all possible players in, it would fix us. If not, yeah. Worst things yet to happen is loss against Bangladesh. Yeah, Gugu, that's something which we've survived, right? But the interesting part is against Bangladesh, we've had a lot of draws over the last few years, right? We've not had any wins against Bangladesh. That is also a fact, right? I saw a clip about FC Barcelona nutrition's team. All players have pre-packed meal, everything counted to the gram. Yeah, but you do know that there is this story about Barca that there are pizza deliveries post-match. So, Utsav, you can watch everything there is on the net about X, Y, Z. Not everything that you'll see will be 100% certain. I had a nutritionist at Mumbai City. Actually, I had two. I had a senior and a junior one. Some of the players did not, in front, all fine. When you went to their rooms, they were eating whatever they wanted to. So, nutritionist to have is nice. If you want to follow, do it. Again, in Indian context, Sunil Chhetri is your brutal role model on that front. Right? Because Sunil idly doesn't know what cheat days are. Sunil is that professional. But, yeah. I don't know how Africa excels in sports as well. So it is not about resources. Monali, it's about, we were talking today about Ghana, and someone said to me, you know what? And Ghana is a big football nation. I say, listen, it's still untapped. My friend told me, listen, it is actually factually untapped. It could be much, much bigger than it actually factually is. So it is not about resources. It's about possibilities. And if you're willing to work hard for your possibilities. Off-topic question. There's so much hatred towards India, especially civic as a person. Morally, I don't know. I don't live across the world, right? It's happening, yeah. But again, as I say, there are certain people who have had this thought and have never uttered it. So, yeah, it's a fact. CSW. I didn't watch it, Rajan. I will not watch it again. Sorry, those are two characters I don't want to hear talking to each other. Racism against own people and Indians say why they are facing another country. But Gugu, the funny one is, I remember someone once told me, oh, you're not Indian. Okay. If that person thinks so, okay, fine. But that person later on in that same conversation said, oh, you know what, what we call the white people. I'm not going to use the word. There is a Hindi word of how you call it. And that is already that is inverse racism. So the person who says I'm facing racism is racist towards them. And I remember my friends, especially from the Northeast, face general racism in India. Bengalis today face racism in India. South, North, East, West. It's a mess. but you have to keep out of it. And again, I'm talking just about ethnicity. I'm not even bringing religion into this conversation, which makes it even worse. So, yeah, and we've digressed from our Indian football discussion, but yeah, things in the world are not easy, and Indian football itself is a big mess, and yeah, I hope it sorts itself out. And it's a big problem. It was a problem. It is a problem, and is are we now at the stage where Indian football will implode? Right. So yeah, it is. It is um, very tricky. I think racism comes from a misunderstanding of superior complex. Morally, it doesn't need to be superior. It can be inferior. It can be anything. It can be. Sometimes it is misunderstanding, but I think very often is lack of knowledge. You know. Yeah, Goku. I'm not going to say, but you've mentioned the things. It's a sad reality, and therefore, I lived in Mumbai several years, and some of my classmates call me Bangladeshi. Yeah, and that's bad. That's why I say when East Bengal and Mohun Bagan have their fights on that fact, it doesn't work. Because elsewhere people see the same. In the UK, for example, Indians, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, Nepalis are de facto the same. Or add Sri Lankans to it. All five, the big ones, are the same. Right? So these are realities. Only way forward is funding from the government, no private entity has the patience or the will to be spending long-term money for the government will not fund it, Togo. Yeah. And the government has reduced its funding. And if you're waiting for the government of India to come forward to fund Indian football, that's not going to happen. Sorry to say that. So when a young German player signs with youth 30-15 of, let's say, Dortmund Academy, will the club take care of the schooling and accommodation? No. It depends. Individual case. Some kids live at home. The schooling is organized by the parents. The parents drop off the kid. Others are staying in the academy. Then yes, then those things are taken care of. There is no one model. What's up? Each kid is looked at individually. What is best for the kid? Some kids are from, again, close by places. Some kids are further away. Some are even from other parts of the world. Off topic question. Foreigners visit, they often say chaotic. Is Europe doesn't have chaotic like India? No. Because you have to think that in India, for example, the first thing which you see is a lot of people. And, that's the difference in the words. How is your handball project? Murali, we're working on it, but sadly, we're not there where I would have liked to have been. Yeah, so we're working on it and waiting for announcements. But Japan do. What Japan do, Goku? I heard only 2-5% pro contract, then what happens to the rest of them? Utsav, not even 3 to 5% get a pro contract. I would say even less. What the rest will take up jobs and start working and doing other things as the rest of the world does. Right? If you don't become a pro, again, and there are different stories, different routes, and yeah. And instead for government and yeah. The government could have done a lot more from a sporting perspective, but they haven't, right? So therefore, that's a reality. So Murali, sadly, that is the reality of things, right? So yeah, that's how it is. Sorry. Yeah, that's life. That's life. In the way it is, and Indian football, the right support, right? The right things need to be taken, and are they going to do it? No, I don't know, right? So, yeah. Right, quick reminder: 1 hour and 30 minutes, meaning 90 minutes of this Indian football discussion, with the headline being "What is next Indian football?" If you're liking the conversation, do leave a like behind. Only have 14 likes. I think we can do better, guys. Yeah, because the more you like it, share it with other people, support the channel, and if you're new, subscribe to it, and watch the short videos. Done a lot of them on generic ones, does the ISL have a future? Yesterday, who can save Indian football? ISL 10 no bidders, Ryan Williams, and yeah, so do support, please support, and thank you for that. Government cooperation for football development in India and abroad, huge difference, massive morally. What will you ever do now? Go to court? Yeah, Blue, they're going to court tomorrow. I mean, I think Nageshwar Rao is going to court tomorrow and telling him the tenders failed. And now I'm interested to see what the Supreme Court says. I'm really interested to see what the Supreme Court says. Have you seen recently India performing well in the athletics and waist category? No, Goku. These days I don't really follow athletics that much. I mean, do they have lower division abroad or start coaching? They have divisions up to, in our place we have got what? 10 divisions, in bigger cities 14 divisions, so they become amateurs, they pick up a job, they work, some of them become coaches, most of them pick up a job, normal, either finish their school, go to university, or learn something and work. I think 99% of kids who are on the path of becoming professional footballer fail, right? There's no way really for football, then no money, no football. That seems to be the problem in Indian context, yes. And we want to host Olympics. Really, give me a break. Raj, I've said that. Yeah. One thing you miss from India would be wishing Germany the same way with India. Family and friends. Family and friends is on both sides would be something which I would miss if I'm here or if I'm there. How do you rate if I go? Morally, it's a good platform for sports in India. Yeah. Money is not only our issue. Look at China, poured a lot of money, but are still struggling. Yeah, but Raj, at least they have built infrastructure. They brought in the foreign coaches. They brought in everything. They've qualified for a World Cup under Bob in 2002. So they've played a World Cup. That discussion is not, has China qualified for a World Cup? That's gone. That ship has sailed. I mean, the rejection of will be far better than anyone from 4-5, the first team player. No. Because the 4th, 5th division player could be a former under 15 reject. What's up? How do you see federation fight because it kills football? They're not doing the job that they're there to do. No? Do you think ISA was over glamorous? Maybe in the first 2-3 years, but you need that in an Indian context. Indians love their stars, superstars, demigods. That is what is missing from Indian football at the moment. German individual society like US, I wouldn't say so. It's different. I don't know if the US is an individualist society. Do you think injury played vital role player career like Varane? Yes, it can be, right? It ended his career early, but yeah. Said before coming football field, were you doing a job? Raj, football has been my job. I studied, did journalism, so I was doing sports, and with that, football as well. Is federation fight exist Europe, but some mechanism good? Morally, there is federation issues everywhere in the world. But again, there are means and ways of sorting it. Is it a mechanism? Yes, sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Right? If you would say that the AIFF is the worst federation in the world, most probably there are others who are much worse than the AIFF in football and other sports as well. So that's the thing, no? So yeah. Even after a developed infrastructure and better coaching, why China is struggling? I think recently there also naturally some foreign players, but still. Goku, because China likes to work as per a system, and football is not a sport where you can work in a system. That's why are they so good in table tennis, in badminton, in squash, even nowadays athletics, swimming, where there is a system and individuals. Chinese are not good in team games, interesting. And the women are better than the men, be it in football, be it in hockey. Premier League versus Bundesliga. Morally, I'm biased. I would always say Bundesliga. Right? So to ask me is wrong. Hi, Akash. Welcome back. Indians love to see hype, glamour. They're saying in Hindi, "Jo dikta hai, wo bikta hai." Yeah, that's the problem. The IPL success is not built on the quality of the IPL. The IPL success is built on the star power in the first season. Shah Rukh Khan was more instrumental for the IPL than even the sort of Gangulys and the Sachin Tendulkars, right? It's a combination of AIFF Supreme Court of India the worst. My Brazilian friend always talks about the Brazilian football, the CBF. An Argentinian friend talks to me about the AFA, and we're talking about world champion countries, right? And they always complain. So yeah, maybe. What will happen if Supreme Court orders they have to arrange by their own? Nothing, because the AFF is not in a position to run the league. Whatever other people are saying. Have you seen the Super Cup? There is no option at the moment. My lords think we're real lords. Yeah. Should AFF have a discussion with ISL teams regarding future? Mahesh, about what? What future? People who say resources, we like think twice. It's not resources, the ecosystem. Yeah, it's the ecosystem. It's the people. It's the people which are the problem. Sir, can Federation member keep present out if there are any concept of no confidence motion in AFF? Yes, isn't it bizarre? One can stay in power while failing at everything. Yeah, what's up? Because these people also want to stay. Na? Vijay Bali resigned, walked off the AFF, and nobody followed it. Just see, Vijay Bali walked out of the AFF. In all over during what we call our gold generation in football, why we didn't attract more fans towards football and players? Kuku, because the golden generation played at the time where, that people were not bothered. We were not thinking about it. You jokingly mentioned AFF run better administration compared to Germany. Yeah, Murali would have said 5 years ago. It said during pre-COVID, Germany in the quick succession had two presidents, and with corruption allegations, other things, they got rid of him. But at that time, the AFF was better run than the DFB, the German FA. Seeing a lot of KPL talents moving into I-League and ISL, it is a hope for Kerala football now if they can get a working FA with decent infra. Yeah, surely. I mean, listen, Kerala love and passion that Kerala has for the sport is immense. But Kerala, to me, as a state, with the love they have for football, is the biggest underperformer in Indian football. Yeah. So sorry, but that's the reality. One word about Indian hockey: sad to see struggle hosting else. Morally, I don't know one word. Sorry. Can we see AIFF shut down before GTA 6? You've got one more year, so GTA, yeah, could happen. Why, like in those years after in other countries, there are more issues than India? Kuku, sports is a very complex thing, right? And to manage, a lot of people think managing sports is easy. Sports is very difficult to macro and micro manage. Do you think Ashish Nedi better in football content creators? Morally, he's one of the best. Look at the commitment Ashish has. So, hats off, respect, all respect I have for him. If players and staff start a protest, would it build pressure to resign? No. AFA is not getting involved in this ISL AFF drama because Akash, it's an internal matter. The running of the league is not a matter for AFC or for FIFA. That's an AFF matter. It's a matter of the constitution. It's a matter of the Supreme Court. If the AFF would go to AFC and FIFA, maybe they would intervene. But that would most will lead to the AFF being removed, and that's why the AFF will not go to AFC and FIFA. Do you think Bengal football ever see any resurgence become real? Bengal football outside Kolkata? So that's a good question. I would hope so, but I have my doubts. So what is a monopoly of Bayern and Bundesliga other clubs and all this? Because Bayern has built this monopoly over the last 3-4 decades, right? They built the club financially. But the problem is to me is when you talk about the monopolies, because you have not a PSG has a monopoly in France. Um, Spain is a sort of a 2.5 team league. The Premier League to me is also sort of a has been, even though people will not like it, is a 2 team league. It's Man City and Liverpool over the last decade, right? A little bit of Chelsea here and Arsenal, and then Arsenal. I mean, most probably Arsenal Bayern. I don't know if anything less than 5 goals would I would be disappointed. But yeah, but those are the things, right? So Bayern are strong. You have teams coming up once in a while. You had Leverkusen recently. You've had Dortmund, Stuttgart, Frankfurt in the past, Werder Bremen, Schalke. So yeah, that's the reality. Was Qatar Asian Cup the best run in nation history? No, yes, by far. Till now, not a single asset player tried to get into foreign leagues, not even Nepal or Bangladesh league. Akash, who's going to take them? Looking at the salary, the players will sit out till December at least, and then January, if nothing happens, then maybe they will think. But who's going to take our players? I've discussed this. There's no taker for our Indian. Anyone who's talking about Indian players going abroad, you have to beg 50 people and then say, oh, someone might give you a chance. And then they will look at the player and think, oh my God, does he play football? So no one's waiting for our players. Australia are good in multiple sports, only cricket. We become cricket man followers. Yeah, well, that's a fact. We saw Qatari golden generation right there, but even with the best resource golden generation, it comes once or twice in 5 decades. NL, yeah, they had, but again, they won 2 Asian Cups, but they were never able to really do something at the world stage. So FIFA FC cannot intervene directly with it. No, it's not. It's an internal matter. It's not a matter for FIFA and AFC. Even I think Brazil Federation problem, especially third-party influence. Yes, Morali. How do you spot monopoly in sports when one entity is controlling everything? This is going to start next month. The monopoly of Kolkata gets broken with this. Akash, the way they're building this, I wish them the best. I hope it works out, but I have my doubts. If you ask me, I have my doubts. But Supreme Court is interfering now. That's not an internal matter for FIFA. Are they intervening? Are they interfering? Again, it's for the AIFF then to go to FIFA and AFC. The AIFF will not go. That's your problem. No? So I guess we are stuck with him for another year. I mean, what else can go wrong now? Yeah, what's up? It looks like it. Why would then there is no one there to pay you 1 crore for 1 season? Yeah, very good point. I said it's easy score and spring. Murali, let him talk. I'd written to some ISO assistant head coaches. They were very supportive. I didn't know the way to get to senior pro. Let me to understand better right now. Good, Renner, good. Can player staff union sue him for negligence? No. Is Al Nassr team stronger than MLS team? Murali, on one day they will be stronger, on another day the MLS team will be stronger. Yeah. I think there is not much of a difference. They said even if you were in the academy setup, try getting into KPL level teams and aim for higher. They're very polite and respectful, and that's which I admire, even if I didn't make it. Nice, nice. Katan only tell that pedal their legs only in Asia. Okay. How did you run up? Murali, great talent who in the last couple of years has lost his way somehow or the other. Sadly. I started watching A-League and it's fun. Then I said, okay, Siddhant. So when will ISF take final call? Mahesh, when it is clear what is going to happen or not going to happen. I think nobody knows what's the next step. At this moment in time, nobody knows where we are heading to, right? So therefore, everybody is waiting. Are we going left? Are we going right? Are we going straight? Are we going down? We'll have to wait for it, right? So, how do you see U20 in the team? Murali, certain potential, but I still have my doubts. Ronaldo was spent 1/3 of his career he earned in field by talking outside the field. So, Blue, has he ever given a smart interview? Sorry, if you expect smart interviews for football, you will not hear a smart interview from the late Diego Maradona, right? Again, in that way, a Pele, a Beckenbauer, a Johan Cruyff, smart guys. But if you're looking at R9 or CR7, not the smartest guys to speak. Lionel Messi knows that. Lionel Messi is very smart. That's why he gives limited number, if at all, interviews or statements, right? For example, yesterday he went to the construction site of the Camp Nou. Nobody knew, right? And he then posted pictures of it. Did he do a big show out of it? No, he didn't. That is, sometimes I feel little less show is better. AIFF is certainly at fault. Can AIFF still wash off 11 years? They enjoyed a smooth partnership with both organizational power and control, yet they failed to transform commercially viable. How, Anindo? That is a fact, right? But the point is, why? AIFF can't wash off their hands. AIFF still can't, and the clubs also. The clubs took the easy route of saying, "Hey, listen, you organize the league, you do everything, and we take care." So that's the thing, no? So therefore, we will have to wait and see what happens next. So, sir, players will sit at home till league gets started. Siddharth, will the league start at all? At the moment, they seem to be sitting at home, yeah, or being on holidays, as we see on some stories. So, yeah. So much so he can't step out of his house without being laughed at. Yeah. Do you think Inyanaki missed golden narrow to European teams close? Do you think still not conquered them? Murali, if sports is sometimes you are close or not. Last year we watched the Olympic semi-final hockey together, and to me, Germany was the better team, and Germany won. So yeah, those are realities. Sorry. Maidan fans and our glory football legacy, your thoughts? Murali, legacy is nice to have, but we have to look into the future. So I would say that's been a big problem. Liverpool certain fall. Any opinion? Weird. Again, I don't follow. I don't follow the Premier League as closely as most of you guys do. So I would not say anything on that. So therefore, yeah, it is the way it is, and very weird that Liverpool started the season strong and then seems to have fallen apart in the last few weeks. I don't know if the teams have figured out how they play, or I don't. So that's a problem, and yeah, it will be interesting to see Florian Wirtz not working, Isak not working, Ketov not working. Very interesting. How do you think Indians generally are super hardworking runners? What do we see as lack is in ball skills, right? No. Are we really runners? Look at Japanese and Koreans, and then you'll realize how good runners they are. We are. Well, look at the Africans. Look at the guys from the Caribbeans. So hardworking is yeah. Since COVID, ISL start is downfall. No, I wouldn't say so. I think ISL during COVID was actually moving up a notch. So I thought at least it looked like it. But then I don't know what's happened in the last two years, right? Seems to have a massive downfall over the last couple of years. What happened to Timo Werner? Morally, it didn't work out with his transfer to Chelsea, then go back to Leipzig, then going to Tottenham, injuries, this, that. Again, reality of football. Sir, but in all cases, what's force him to resign? I don't think there is a reason for him to resign. I don't see him resigning. He's going to stick around as long as he can, right? And he's done that. He's been doing that, and I don't know. So, yeah, the hope is he will leave, but he's still there. At least we have hockey where we're consistently top 5 in bonus courses in the okay. Franco tell us versus Franco over OTT in Germany. Yeah, we've got OTT here as well, with the Zone, with Sky. So yeah, let's see. Sad to hear what happened in Delhi today. Rip. Yes, Chetan, very sad about what happened with that car explosion. If we had better vision and better plan and better communication, better tie-ups, things would be very different from now, and we don't have to discuss about it now. Goku, yeah, but yes, that means what you're listing, then everything needs to be changed. And what areas do you think India needs to improve as a nation in sports? Of Murali, I could do a monologue. I think India needs to sort itself out on a number of fronts in sports. We need to become a sports nation. I think sports in itself could be a very good thing to work on. I said Arunfoot started with the recent promotions in Hyderabad FC made so many free games. Blue, very good observation, and I totally agree with you on that. I think Hyderabad FC, um, I think the ISL authorities should have been a little harder, rougher, tougher on that. Maybe calling them out, and even threatening to throw them out. But even though that's one. And on the other side, yeah, the promotions haven't helped. Punjab FC, yes, but Mohammed Sporting promotion hasn't helped the league. So that's why I said, and even East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, has it really helped? Again, Mohun Bagan de facto is 80K, and East Bengal still has not made it into the playoffs, which is incredible if I think about the size of East Bengal club. Who is at fault with not enforcing salary cap? One team getting 10, 15 national team players in one race in eyebrow. If clubs were incentivized to create real assets, would have been better. Babalus, it sounds so easy. Um, you know, um, salary cap. As I said, if you want to say salary cap and say, listen, that's the salary cap, and behind the player gets money somehow or the other, which in Indian jugaad system will work. Yeah, that it's not going to help. Survivors for chaos because people who live in majority in Europe, yes, morally. I can tell with it. Sometimes I get annoyed, but yes, I have to live with it. People say me that Bangalore C will not shut down if ISL doesn't happen. Achha, please say me that Bangalore FC will not shut down if ISL doesn't happen. Oh, Chetan, you're asking a big question, and I don't have an answer for you. Sorry. BFC, like any other entity, could shut down. I'm hearing from a number of teams who are thinking of, saying, listen, I will keep the youth running, but I will shut down my first team completely until there is a solution to the system. So that is something which I think a number of entities are considering as a plan. Right? At the moment, I think that's something that a lot of people are considering for their entities. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Do you think if Neymar had a decent plan about career, he would win a Ballon d'Or, even a World Cup? Lionel, it's not about a plan. Again, he has had injuries with this and that and this, and yeah. So yeah. I had to go, Sanara. Goku, thank you. Bye. Catch you. Why do you think we produce more tech as a nation and education strong background compared to sports? Is sports not our cup of tea? Murali, I wouldn't be able to explain to you. It's a fact. Education in India is strong. You look at all those North American spelling bee contests which are being won left, right, and center by Indians. Yeah. East Bengal somehow underperformed national mastery. They did better in cup competitions. Blue. East Bengal has always been very good in cups. If you see Federation Cup, now Super Cup, IFF Shield, there's that, everything. Cup. They've always been a good cup team, right? They've not won the I League or NFL since 2004. So, yeah, at national level at least, they are not a good league team. So that's a fact. Right. Let me slowly come to an end to 1 hour 54 minutes. Then I'll take this. People think F is worse to stick the other Jumla associations. Even the Wrestling Federation might be far better than Prabhu Patel time. We're a decent federation with system running. Renal, I would have said, under Prabhu Patel, if people like him or not, they did actually quite well. Not even decent. They were doing actually quite well, given the realities and circumstances. Can we at least say we produce good techies across the world? I guess so, yes. So BCI helping AIFF, was that true? No. That's the suggestions that certain people have made, right? So I don't know if it's going to happen. Arun fans show the power. Yes, Monole, thanks. At the end, once more reminder, like this video. If you like the conversation, please leave a like behind. It enables you to push it to more people. Share it with people if you can. And of course, if you're new and you're liking the conversation, please Please subscribe to the channel. 3,388 is where we are at this moment. And yeah, and let me grow again. We're now close to the 3,400 mark. And I'll keep you updated on what all is happening in Indian football. And not easy at the time, but keep supporting Indian football, guys. And if I do, I'm not sure. I have to figure out how I'm gonna figure it out tomorrow with the live show. But if I can, I will do it. And if I do it, I will do it a little earlier. So do join me tomorrow. Most probably a little earlier than usual. And keep supporting Indian football. Good night, everyone.